Good morning, one and all. So it is a Saturday morning, but I'm recording this on the 26th of August, and probably one of my more controversial um, topics because, like it or not, we have to go over the Waffen SS, and we all know what the SS stands for. It stands for uh, Sigma Simps. Maybe not. Maybe it's more like Schutzstaffel, but Sigma Simps more or less would um, explain why everyone in that organization would sing to Erica in unison. Who's Erica? I'm not too sure. Anywho, they're probably a force that cannot be ignored. They had started in the early part of the war being uniquely German, but as the war evolved, it started becoming more of an anti Bolshevik organization and acquiring volunteers from different areas of Europe, I suppose. Um, and they're notorious for one thing, I suppose, massacres. But they were not the only ones that committed war atrocities. Now, there was a lot of controversy as well because in certain modules they were portrayed with black and white uh, counters. And to me, all that represents its contrast. And if you look at the actual colors of SS uniforms, they were, uh, compared to other uniforms, multicolored, including their late war camouflage. Was it effective? I'm not sure. I have no empirical evidence to suggest it was or it wasn't. Um, I haven't done any studies with respect to that. But what I am interested in going over, by the way, this is Nescafe Gold. Borrowed some for my son. He likes it. And I forgot what I was saying, but what I think is worth noting is that we can't ignore the fact that this type of force exists in the game. They appear in various battles throughout the Eastern Front, I suppose, and the Western Front. And from time to time, you might um, have to play them in a tournament or against your opponent. And you really need to know the ins and outs of this force, this type of infantry force, in order to play them more effectively. Um, because there are some rules and exceptions involved that can really affect your gameplay if you're not aware of them. So here they are. First and foremost, um, when I acquired Beyond Valor, I got the blue counters with the SS designation on them. I did not get the black and white counters with, I believe that it came with Kampfgruppe Piper, and the ones that were first introduced as such actually came with Cross of Iron, and Cross of Iron had black and white counters for the SS, and the Berserk units were actually pink or hot pink, whereas the Russians were a red. And I'm not too sure why the distinction in the color, because as you can see, the numerical representations of the German uh, squads is quite different from the Russians. You have 838s, 548s, and 658s, and here you have 447s. Now, with Cross of Iron, there wasn't any 447s. This is the fact that the um, SS had conscripts was first introduced with, I suppose, Advanced Squad Leader. And the other thing with the major difference between Crossover and Squad Leader, the classic game um, versus Advanced Squad Leader, is you have unit size being represented by the three figures. That's a full squad, and two figures is a half squad. I guess that may have been changed in GI Anvil of Victory, but I'm happy to have gone directly from COI to advanced squad leader, and having clarity as to what the unit size and is for each unit. Okay, so I put the Russians here deliberately because we're going to learn by example the attributes to the SS. And the first attribute is um, if you have a scenario where it's Russians versus German SS, the rules for disruption do not apply. So give me a moment here. I, I, I don't think that dice matters in these examples, but I'll configure Vassal so you can see my dice rules just the same. There you go. So if you have a broken unit here, let's break them. The first thing you need to know about the SS versus Russians is that a heat of battle greater than or equal to 12 does not result in surrender. It instead results in that unit becoming berserk. So let's unbreak him and turn him berserk. Boink. So let's say this person assault moved to here, and at this juncture, he could fire there at 8 firepower factors, so it's 4 doubled, and -1 for the leadership DRM. So if he came from K7, declared assault move, not being the berserk, let's remove the berserk. Let's see if we can cause a heat of battle. Here we go. Assault move. I got an 8 as a Russian player. I get an 8 minus 1. Let's roll and see what happens. IFT. Oh, it is a 7 on the 8 table, which is a 1 check. And if we do a morale check, 10. He breaks. He does not disrupt. Normally, if he's an elite unit, the ALR is 5. However, if I had rolled Snake Eyes, and that would mean heat of battle, and subsequently, if I rolled a 12 or more, what would that entail is that normally, if the unit was not SS, he would have to surrender to Burkov. But here's my leader, Burkov, Sergeant Burkov. But in this case, if the unit is SS, so instead of this surrendering, we would go like this, and now you got a berserk unit on your hands. Let's do another example. Let's say this unit is not a berserk. Let's revert him back to his um, regular state. And he's broken here. That would not be a good example. Let's say he's here. Break. And he went through the rally phase, and he was not able to soft rally because it's the Russian player turn. And now the Russian player simply goes, oops, simply goes like this. Assault moves to there, DMs him. Along comes road phase. He needs to get out of there, right? And normally, because he would have to low crawl, normally he would be a prisoner to these fellows. But since he's SS, he's playing against Russians, he would just have to low crawl. Even if he was disrupted, I believe. But disruption does not count as well when you're SS playing against the Russians. Okay. Here's an important thing to note. Let's go back to my list of SS units. Remove all the moves. As you can see, the SS units have the SS designation here. You have 838s, 548s, 658s, 468s, 447s, and 436s. And I have a broken unit here to show you that their morale, their broken morale, is one more than their printed good order morale. So let's see if this is true for the conscript as well. Break and break. Not true for conscripts, but true for everyone else. And this guy here would be a 9. There you go. Now, that's applicable to the multi-man counters, also the half squads, but crews and leaders or single-man counters are simply that, whether they're SS or not. So they retain the same morale on their broken side as they do on their good order side. There you go. All right, so Panzerfausts are inherited uh, starting October 1943, August to September 1943 by SSR. And the third quality that you need to know about is that from 1944 to 1945, German SS counters have assault fire. Now, as you can see, this fellow has assault fire. He doesn't have underlying firepower. He doesn't have assault fire. So how do you get assault fire on the German unit? Is you simply right-click him and put, there's an option in a VASL, VASL, 44 to 45 assault fire. And voila, now the assault, the firepower is underlined. How about this fellow? Nope. So that's only true for the 658s. Main massacre. So that is peculiar, very peculiar. So if you have an unarmed unit, let's see if we get an unarmed unit here. So reset CPB, escape, clone, delete, delete. That is not an unarmed unit, that's a prisoner counter. So we'll get an unarmed unit in just a second. So basically, here's an unarmed unit. But let's do the example with a prisoner. So to unarm him, you just right click and press escape. There's a toggle. So let's say this fellow here has a prisoner. They may massacre the prisoners in their fire phase. Subsequently, the ELR of your opponent goes up by 1, and then once massacre takes place, mopping up will not be available to you, and the opposing units will be able to low crawl away from you rather than surrender. So massacre is a double-edged sword, and that rule too is also available to Russians. So in my case, if I'm the attacker and I have to assault the opponents, and the only way of defeating my opponent is by trying to having to go into close combat. I'm very weary of accepting prisoners because it will, if I don't have numerical superiority and I don't have the right amount of units to go into close combat, but not as guards, then that's something to consider as whether you want to take prisoners or not. But ordinarily, I do. Okay. Also, if you are in a scenario in 1944 and beyond, you need to know that these fellows have anti-tank mines as of 1944 on. as per Charlie 13.7. Now, the other thing that is important to note is that the SS are elites. And what that means is that if they're manning mortars or if they're manning, if they have tanks that are and guns in their possession, as elites, their depletion number increases by 1. And that is as per Charlie 8.2. So that's pretty much my video today. It's only 15 minutes long, 16, with all the content. I hope you don't mind the humorous titles that I try to give my videos these days. I think we're living in trying times, and a little humor goes a long way. And during the week, you may have seen a video that will probably be an overview of Scenario 4 from Beyond Valor. And the other thing that's going on, besides playing Squad Leader, I think profusely, when you're playing 5 days a week and you also have a Sunday afternoon with a bit of starter kit, I think that is above and beyond. Granted that my Tuesday and Wednesday night games are only 60 minutes long, sometimes less than that. We try to, restrain ourselves from playing too much. But Monday, Thursday, and Friday are about 2-hour sessions, so that's a lot. That's a lot, and you know, family obligations. Got a small family, but I got a family just the same. Mean a lot. We got the little guy ready for school. Have most of his school supplies. Uh, see how that fares. And we're looking forward to watching the Panthers play football. Um, see how everything works out. So with that said, 18 minutes of my little rant on SS, or Sigma Simps as I like to call them, should provide you with some insights and some curiosity to dig into scenarios involving this force and see how you can exploit them to the best of your ability to win. And with that said, thank you all for your support and watching my videos. Have a great week ahead, and until next time, so long.